Good evening. I'm Chanel, Vehicle Title Expert. Thank you so much for tuning in and thank you in advance for subscribing. So tonight's segment is for all of my truckers, and I just really felt the need to do this segment because there's a lot of confusion that you guys are facing, pertaining to that purchase at the dealership. You don't know what to do when it comes to your title and registration. You don't know when you're going to get your plates. You don't know who's doing what. You don't even know what you have in your hands when you are walking away from the dealership, some of you. So I really want to focus tonight on, making your experience at the dealership as painless as possible when it comes to that title and registration part. I just want you guys to really be prepared even before you go to the dealership in terms of that title and registration. So I'm going to be highlighting four questions on tonight, and I'm going to examine each one, so you guys can be, well informed. Let me just start off by saying I serve truckers. I serve trucking dealerships or dealerships that, sell to truckers. So a lot of times, I'm seeing basically how things will pan out. Sometimes things work out well on a title and registration side. Sometimes they do not. But my concern is for you truckers out there because, you know, when your truck is sitting, you're not making any money, and that will definitely impact your operations. I've been seeing it for several years. I see it too often, and I really just want to help you guys out because you don't want your title and registration to be delayed, because if it is delayed, that's going to impact your trucking operation. So, pay attention to that. With that being said, let me dive into these four questions that you will want to ask that dealership when you're making that purchase and your title and registration transaction is about to get started. So, question number one: will you handle my title and registration paperwork for me, or will I need to handle it myself? So let me start off by saying, okay, just because you are purchasing your vehicle from a dealer, it does not mean that dealership is going to handle your title and registration transaction. They're supposed to, but they may not. So you really want to be aware. They might just, dump everything in your hand and send you out the door. Okay, they may do that. Or they may do a little bit of your title work and not the rest. It can be kind of complicated, but nevertheless, you want to find out who is doing what. And let me add, as a title agency, the dealerships have a third option. They can send your transaction to us, and, we can handle the transaction for you. Or we may do some of it. It just depends. The ball really ends up being in your court ultimately. You really need to figure out from that dealership who's doing what. Is everything going to be done for me? Is a little bit going to be done? Who is doing it? Okay, and that's going to be the question you really need to focus on. Okay, and when you get that response, make sure you have it in writing from that dealership so that you will not have any surprises. And let me share this. When it comes to the dealership, normally the people responsible for that title work at the dealership is going to be that finance manager. It is going to be the title clerk, and sometimes it might be an accounting clerk, but normally it's going to be that finance manager and it's going to be the title clerk. A lot of times it's not going to be that sales manager or the sales rep that sold you that vehicle. Normally that's how it works at the dealership level when it comes to the title and registration paperwork. So don't assume. Make sure you also speak to the right parties, that finance manager, the title clerk, etc., at that dealership to get more clarity. Okay. Question number two: do I need to visit the DMV at all to get my plates, or will you receive them? And you referring to the dealership. Okay. So this is very important. Depending on your state, depending on your county, Even if the dealership does the title work for you, or an agency such as myself do the title work for you, sometimes there are still cases in which, you may need to meet the paperwork to sign off on your plate, sign off on the title application in order to get those plates. Sometimes you will get the plates at the window or the counter. Sometimes the DMV will still send the plates to an agency such as mine, or they may send the plates to the dealership. You don't want to assume, you want to be sure who is going to receive your plates. Okay. Question number 3. Do you collect my DMV fees up front for me, or do I need to submit the fees to DMV myself? Very important. So normally, dealerships will collect all of your DMV fees on your behalf up front, but it really depends on the dealership in question. It depends on the operational status of that dealership, how they're set up, how their accounting is set up, and so on. So you really want to be sure and not have any surprises. And let me go further. Even if the dealership tells you that you're going to be the one responsible for submitting the DMV fees to the DMV, you want to get an itemized breakdown. You want to know what it is that you're going to be submitting to the DMV. How much are you going to submit to the DMV? Because you don't want to go to the DMV and you're short and then you get rejected and you got to come back another day. So make sure you get this up front. Who is going to submit the fees? Okay, very important. And lastly, what documents will I receive from you today for my records? Okay, be very clear of what you are going to receive in hand pertaining to that title and registration transaction, whether it's a temp tag, whether it's some sort of registration document, or whether it's the original title, reassignments, registration forms, whatever it is from that dealer, be sure that you get what it is that you're going to be receiving. Now, if the dealership is not going to provide you with something pertaining to documentations, at best, they should be able to give you a statement indicating who is going to be doing what on your behalf, how much is going to be, going out of pocket for your transaction. They should be also providing you with an estimated time frame, and I can go on and on. But make sure you get something for your records pertaining to your title and registration. Sometimes I've seen truckers be confused, as I said before. You guys sometimes unfortunately find out days and weeks later that your transaction has not, been completed, and come to find out the dealership basically, wanted you to complete or expected you to complete the transaction on your behalf. You don't want to be surprised. You don't want to be surprised. I understand this is very complicated. It can be a case where, again, the dealership can do some of the transaction for you. I can do some of it, or, you may be responsible for some. It depends on the dealer. It depends on your DMV. It depends on the county. But I don't want you guys to be confused when it comes to this type of situation. Okay. If you need more clarity, I really want to hear from you guys. Feel free to drop me a line below. You may be saying, Chanel, I went to the dealership, I didn't get what I thought I was going to get, or, they gave me a bunch of papers pertaining to my title and registration transaction. I don't know what to do. If you're still lost, and you need that guidance, I want to hear from you. I want to guide you through that process. So feel free to drop me a line or visit me at wisdomandauthority.com. Check me out on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Click share and subscribe. I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.